Alright, what is up YouTube? Chris here with Chrono Clash Central. So today we got blue-red deck profile, huh? I mean, you already know if you paid attention, you clicked on that video, you know it's blue-red. What am I talking about? 1-drops. Sakura Haruno and Shikamaru. We're just getting straight into it. This deck is one of the more control-oriented or a little bit slower decks that I've been able to make. I really am lean towards like aggro decks as far as like what I think is the best. So making something a bit slower, kind of challenging me, see what works, what doesn't, helps a lot. So this deck is really solid, and it's really embodied by these 2 1-drops. So Shikamaru, you can rest something, tap something for 1 cost, which means you can do this before you attack. You can take care of pretty much anything depending on your board state. And then the Guardian effect, you also tap something, so it deals with swarms. One of the issues with playing like a lot of big cards is that your opponent gets to like play a lot of small cards, and so the tapping effect and the Guardian can actually help you deal with that and help you keep in control. Sakura Haruno, best red card, debatably, arguably, it's one of the best cards in the game because it deals with so many other cards. I don't think that there's money cards that people consider like insanely good that have more than 3 strength that don't cost more than like 5. So you're getting like huge time economy is what I'm calling it, right? Your opponent plays something that costs 4, like the Gara, the green Gara that costs 4, gives you an EX, has Sentinel. That's like a common play. The Sasuke, which we'll get to, is a common first play, costs 4. You get to kill it for 1. Time economy. That's what this deck is about. That good old time economy. So 2 drops. We got Kiba, we got Mitsuki, we got Sai. Oh, we're running out of space. We got Inojin. Alright, so Kiba is insanely good. Really not so much for this +1 Guardian effect. It's pretty much never going to switch the turn over from your opponent unless they're being cheeky. But it's really here for this guy. Basically, you're going to attack him into Guardian. You get your 1 time back. So it's kind of like an investment, right? I'm going to play this on 1 turn, and then I'm going to save it for when it's going to be the most. I'm going to be able to use that 1 time later for the most value. And it's nice that he just trades for Guardian. So like Mitsuki has fast. Basically means if your opponent has no Guardians left and you have 2 time, you win. Your opponent always has to be careful for this. You always have to be thinking about that card. Inojin is a card advantage machine. Legion, when you play him, EX plus EX when he's in the Guardian, he's always getting a card no matter what. Sai, recovery is really good, and like you can kind of beat down games with this if you have a Sai and you're like, oh, well, it lived, haha. And then if your opponent doesn't deal with it, you get another one. Granted, it's pretty easy to deal with, but really, this one right here, this Guardian effect, choose something, return it to your opponent's hand. This gives you so much tempo against people who play Boruto. They swing it. You kind of have a lot of times, if you don't have an answer, you just let them swing it into your Guardian stack, and you probably hit a bounce effect, and then you're like up so much time. Typically. But that's how it goes. Sai, those bounce effects, there's gonna be a lot more of them coming in this deck profile. So it's really nice having all those 2s as well because it lets you control your opponent's time if you need to. They only give you 1 time, you only give them 1 time. Not always like the play you want to make, but very solid. Okay, 3 drops. Jugo's nasty. Basically, this card is one of my favorite cards in blue. Actually, probably my favorite card in blue because if you play him turn 1, your opponent is forced into playing something bigger because the way that attack declaration works is you can declare attacks, then that's when on attack to activate. So you declare attack with Jugo, his effect taps something, and then you can choose the thing that you just tapped to attack. So anything that has strength 2, you get to trade with it immediately. If it has 1 strength, you just straight up can't play it because you just kill it for free. So Jugo is really, really strong for that reason. And he's also got that tap effect in the Guardian, so he helps you deal with your opponent trying to rush you down and can buy you a turn. Sometimes all you need is that 1 turn to live. We get Sarada, +1 Guardian stack, and recovery. Come on, that's insane. On top of that, she helps you get your EX cards early without too much time commitment, and that's also a really big deal because I don't know if you guys noticed, but EX cards are insanely powerful. And so she only has 1 strength, but she dies a lot your opponent can like trade an Inojin into it after she attacks. But if she attacks, come on, you're already winning at that point. So I actually debated here Konohamaru because he has 2 strength, which means he's harder to like attack back into, but just a tiny bit. But like that tiny bit is enough. And he gives you an EX card in the Guardian stack, whereas Sarada does nothing in the Guardian stack. So you could trade that out if you really don't like Sarada, but I ended up choosing Sarada because I wanted to be able to like, oh, I need an EX card, let me play her. Whereas like Konohamaru, if I need an EX card, it's kind of random. Yamato, oh, the Guardian return to hand strikes again, such a good effect. And then of course, it also acts as a +1 EX, return your own units, so you can reuse your units. That's really where Sarada and the Sai 2 cost that you just showed with recovery gets a lot of value, because you could attack with it, boom, attack with it, play Yamato, get it back to hand. Not only are you building up your amount of EX cards, you kind of save your Sarada, get another use out of her, which can really just kind of like bum out your opponent. And of course, you also return your opponent's card to their hand, which helps you keep up that tempo, and you know it can keep you alive for like a turn if you don't have a way to deal with Boruto. Keep you alive a little bit while you dig for one. 4 drops. This is the Sasuke I was talking about. A lot of people like to play this turn 1. It's got Legion, which means if they kill it, you get your card back. It comes into play, gives you an EX, and his 4 cost means you're going to trade it out for like pretty much any EX pretty easily. And then he also gets added back to your hand when he's destroyed as a Guardian. Like if I was talking about Inojin being a card advantage machine, this bad boy is even more of a card advantage machine. But a lot of people like to play this off turn 1, so that like they could give you 4 time, and then you could, right, like I mentioned, that's why that Sakura is so good. Boom, there she is. You can destroy him. You still got, you know, so you'll have 4 time. You still got 3 time on your turn left to use to make something happen. So that's why Sakura is so good. But this card is absolutely fantastic, and it really helps you keep up your hand. Sakura, we're playing 4 of this bad boy, bad girl. I mean. Recovery is nice, but really what she's here for is her destroying sentinels. You pretty much get, you know, here's like we're gonna our keyword time economy, you know, our fancy word for the deck profile. There's a lot of time economy with Sakura. There's pretty much nothing other than like Suigetsu. Suigetsu is the only sentinel that costs less than Sakura. Everything else is either an EX card, in which case it's like a 2-for-1 kind of, or it's like Naruto, which costs 5, or Boruto, which costs 8. So you're getting huge time economy, even if you don't get to attack after you play her. You're building up a huge unstoppable force, and you can do things. You can do really silly things too, like you can bait. Like you have 2 of them, you could bait your opponent like, I have nothing to play. Let me play Sakura, and they're like, ho, he just played his Sakura. Let me slap a Boruto in his face, and then you're like, nah, get the second one. Or you can return it to your hand with Yamato. You know, there's some sneakiness you can do there. There's some sneakiness. But that's 4 drops. You know, it is a more like slower paced deck, so just having as much destruction as possible, even if it's, you know, limited to sentinels, is really strong. So 5 drops. We're starting out with Choji and Rock Lee, and then Tsunade. So we'll talk about Tsunade first. Kills anything with strength 4 or less. Is amazing, but it also kills itself, which is a problem because in this game effects are mandatory. I'll bring this one a little bit closer. Effects are mandatory, so if there's no targets for her, she'll just kill herself. And so you can get stuck with a bunch of these in your hand, and your opponent's like playing like cards that it can't kill, and then you're just like, I can't play this at all. So it's really good sometimes and kind of absolutely terrible other times. But the 5 cost is really good because, of course, it's going to activate most of your EXs. You get EX in Guardian. Rock Lee also gives you EX in Guardian. It's important to get those EXs in your hand. So let's talk about these 2 guys. 5 cost, 5 strength. Mention it in the green purple. We'll mention it here again. It's really hard to remove them with effects. So your opponent has to attack into them, that's basically it. They basically have to attack into them, or they're just going to stay there and kind of make your opponent's life miserable. Rock Lee gives you that time, so again, a little bit of time economy. It gives you more time to work with, which is pretty solid. But Choji, I think, is the real star. So he's there because he satisfies the 5 cost, 5 strength, and also gives you the X and guard. Choji is the real MVP here. First of all, we get +3 strength when he attacks, so he attacks for 8. So he basically he just straight up destroys anything he attacks, apart from like Boruto, Might Guy, and the Blue Sasuke. So he just destroys things. He's at 8 strength, it's monstrous. As long as they're tapped, you can do that. But of course, you've got ways to tap opponent's cards so that they're open to be just demolished by Choji. And then you can trade him for an EX to get, keep the tempo up, keep those plays going. When he's summoned, you can tap something. So that's also really strong. If your opponent gives you too much time, you can be like, oh, let me tap something of yours and then attack it with something else you have. Or let me tap something, swap into an EX, and then attack it. And then of course he's got the time tap effect as well, which we talk about plenty of times so far in his deck profile. That's gonna help you survive when your opponent has a bunch of swarm out, which is really good. So 5 costs, absolutely solid. It's gonna, once you get here, you basically turn on all your EX cards. So that's the dual purpose of these guys. They're coming in, they're hard to remove, and then they activate your EX cards, or you're not really activate them, but you get to play your EX cards off pretty much any option off of them. So that helps you remove a little bit of the variance of drawing EX cards. Okay, 6 costs. We'll slap in. These are the big bad boys of the deck. The real big bad boy though is my guy. We got three of those bad boys. Where's my? This deck might have too many cards, my friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 16, 17. Okay, this deck has 1 too many card, so we're gonna drop a Rocket League. Get out of here, okay? All right, so we'll rewind a bit. Rewind. Whoa, pretend we're going in reverse. All right, 5 drops. Boom, boom, boom. All the stuff I just talked about, it's the same, except there's only 2 Rocket Leagues, okay? And the reason for that is because I think Choji's better. It's got a better Guardian effect for trying to live, and attacking for 8 also means you get to destroy a lot more things. Rocket League's kind of just there to get you EX cards in your hand. All right, and the reason why we didn't cut any of these big boys is because they're too important. They're too important. Sai just buys you time against a lot of things, because they play Boruto, you return to the hand. They play Boruto, you return to the hand. And then you also get a 5 strength body on the field, which trades into any of your EXs. So absolutely good. Bounce effect in the Guardian, we talked about that plenty of times. It's insane. Orochimaru is mainly there for the Guardian bounce as well. So you've got 12 cards in your deck that bounce on Guardian effect, and then you've got like 9 that tap stuff. So people with swarms, they're not getting anywhere close to you because that basically means you've got 21 cards in your deck that if they have 2 battlers on the field, they attack with one of them and you just get rid of the other attack. You just ignore the other attack. So that's actually really insane. And then Orochimaru attacks for 7, he gets EX cards. That's pretty good, but we don't play him that often unless we're just like, I need to play something. I need to get out the gates. And my guy, 9 strength, so he attacks and kills Boruto with a trade. Costs 8, same as Boruto, and he also kills anything 8 strength or less, which is basically everything other than the 3 we talked about with Choji, which is himself, Boruto, and the Sasuke in blue. So he is super strong, and he can stick on the board and just kind of like run over games, because if you're playing against green and you get to drop him before they play Boruto, all of a sudden they can't play Boruto anymore, or they don't want to, because they play Boruto, it's going to cost them so much time, and then my guy just attacks into it instead. So that's kind of like one of the keys for that, playing against like a Boruto type deck, is you get my guy out pretty early if you can, and then it just, unless they get rid of my guy and then go into Boruto, it's going to be fine, but they don't really have ways to kill my guy, so they might Sai him back to your hand, and then you just play him again, you kill a Sai, and then they still can't play Boruto. So my guy's actually insanely good, especially in this kind of like slower pace deck, but I wouldn't play it in I didn't play it in my aggro deck, you might notice, because it just costs too much. It just costs too much, and sometimes cost is all that's important. Okay, EX cards. Let's get into it. We'll make it fast. I really like this deck because it's got a lot of options in EX cards. These are the ones that I think are valuable to play. The 2 got like all the Gamas, all the Toads. So you get Gamma Bunta. Boom, Gamma Bunta gives you a Sentinel when if you're in a pinch, you need to stop an attack. Also trades any of your 2s into a fast. So basically, you got this guy in your hand, and every 2 cost you have is essentially a Mitsuki. So it really applies that threat of like having an instant attacker, or can catch people off guard if they forgot about this bad boy having fast. Gamagoro, 3 Legion, absolutely insane. he's just going to keep your hand power going. Shukaku, one of the best EX cards, costs 4. If he loses a battle, he's going to go back to your hand, and he has the Guardian attack 3. So he can just, oh, look at that glare going. He can just absolutely demolish your opponents. Absolutely demolish your opponents. If they don't feel like big Guardian. Naruto, Nine-Tailed Fox. Sorry about the glare on this, you guys. I don't know if it's too bad. I'll try to fix it for the next video. Naruto, Nine-Tailed Fox trades 9 strength into Boruto and also draws cards. So all that replacement. This is like your main answer to Boruto, apart from my guy. So you gotta have him. Super good. Or you can just have him attack anything. Attack life. He's probably gonna get his 2 Guardians attack off. Gamakichi plus 3 time. He is like a baby Naruto Uzumaki, but you get it in blue. And the time is also sometimes more relevant because with the time, it means that you're going to be more free to attack into Guardians without worrying about those time effects. Like a lot of the green play, like green has so many plus time in the Guardian stack. If you get the actual time, then you're kind of like ignoring that. Like, okay, I don't have to deal with that anymore. I don't think about that because it's not a possibility. Unless they hit like 3 in a row and you're like, well, okay. Yeah, you got me there. But there's a lot of times where like you'll summon into the green one, the Naruto. You're like, oh, this is better, but I attack Guardian stack, they get +2 time, and it's their turn now. So then that didn't really help you. And then I decided to stick with all 5 cost or less EXs, so that if you play any of your 5s, you can swap them out for anything you got in here. And that's with Garuda. It also fits in the theme of just like destroying things, because if they go and they swarm a little bit when you play like a 5 cost, you can, and they attack you, I don't know what they're doing, or you like live through your turn, they have a lot of swarm that are attacking you a lot, you can swap into Garuda, or like play Tsunade, swap into Garuda, Tsunade pops 1, Garuda swings into another one and also pops another, so you can kind of kill 3 things in 1 turn with that. So, and then of course the longer Garuda's on the field, the more 3 strength or less you're going to destroy, so really helps you snowball a little bit in those situations where you need to. But one of the great things about this deck, you guys, is that you're not limited to playing those EX cards. I don't play more of them. I chose to play 6 for consistency's sake, but if you feel like you need to switch it up, change it up a little bit, you can play Garuda. It'll be a little more aggressive. You get to your EXs faster. It helps if you're playing against a lot of Borutos and you're like, oh, I need to always get to my Nine-Tailed Fox to have an easy answer to it. You can play Garudas. I mean, apart from like my guys and Sakura Uchihas, you know, if you want more, you just dig harder into your EXs with Garuda. If you want more removal, you can play Sasuke. And if you're really worried and you want to double up, on extra Sentinels, be a little bit more defensive, and also having another EX that has 9 strength, you can attack into Boruto and trade with it. You got Sasuke. So you got options there. Just things to consider. I like to go with these guys, the ones I showed. That's about it for this deck profile. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys would prefer them to be a little bit shorter. I kind of like to go in depth. I feel like if I just show you a list, you can just see a list. You can get a list anywhere, but it's kind of interesting to know the thoughts and some things a little bit more. That's how I feel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you guys tried the deck. What do you guys think of red blue in general? If you have tried your own versions of it, what cards am I not including that I'm idiots for not including, or cards that I included that you're like, yo, Chris, Chrono Clash Central, you're stupid. Get it out of here. Comments. Let me know. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Always appreciate the support. Helps out a ton. Subscribe for more deck profiles, and we'll get some matches going with this bad boy soon. And that is about it. As always, keep on learning, keep on having fun, and I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.